So I'd like to show you the command points of the heart channel, which basically means all the points for the heart channel that are on the forearm here. So let's look at the anatomy involved to begin with. So I'll take you to the skeleton. So we have the humerus bone, just up here. That's your upper arm bone. We then have the epicondyle of the humerus, which ultimately is the joint as such. So what we're looking at is the medial aspect here of it. So the medial epicondyle of the humerus. So it's the funny bone. Then we're looking at these two bones here. So this is the ulna, the side of the little finger, and this is the radius, the side of the thumb. Yep. So you have the ulna and then the radius. Small finger side, thumb side. Then we're looking at the carpal bones. So just in here. So the carpal bones are basically the wrist bones. We've got 8 of them. For the heart channel, we're just going to be looking at this one here. That sort of P-shaped bone, which is called the pisiform. Then we're moving on to the hand bones here. So these are called metacarpals. So we're looking at just these two, so that's going to be the 4th and the 5th metacarpal, or metacarpals. And then lastly, we're looking at the phalanges, so the finger. We're going to be looking at the little finger. So these are called, together they're called the phalanges, or separately they're called phalanx. So this is the proximal phalanx, mid-phalanx, distal phalanx. Okay, other anatomy, so thinking of the muscles and the tendons, for this we're just going to be looking at the flexor carpi ulnaris. So the flexor carpi ulnaris is the tendon that runs alongside the ulnaris, comes all the way down here, and it feeds just into the pisiform bone down there. So it's called flexor because this is where it allows us to flex the forearm. It's called carpi because it feeds into the carpi bones down here, so the wrist bones. And it's called the ulnaris because it basically just follows the, rest out there, it just follows the bone of the ulnaris. So the flexi carpi ulnaris. So looking at the flexi carpi ulnaris, so you can see here, if you can tense for us. So what we're looking at primarily is this tendon here. So it comes from down here, so this is the muscle of it, and then it comes into the wrist. You can see it bulging out here. Okay, and relax. Surface anatomy involved here is the flexure of the elbow. So simply just where the bend is of the elbow. It's also then the anterior aspect of the forearm, the flexure of the wrist, and the palmar surface of the hand here. One more thing, actually. We will be looking at the radial aspect of the little finger. So that means, this simply means this side of the little finger. So radial because it's on the side of the radius bone. Okay, so looking at the flow of the channel. So it's already marked up here, as you can see. So the flow of the channel starts just anterior to the medial epicondyle, so in front of the medial epicondyle here. It then descends down on the anterior surface of the arm. It feeds into, or goes across the wrist by the pisiform bone here, then onto the palmar surface of the hand between the 4th and the 5th metacarpals. And it continues then all the way along the radial aspect of the little finger. Okay, so let's find the points. So let's start with 1, 3. So 1, 3, so it's at the flexure of the elbow. And what we're looking for here is the epicondyle. So we're looking for this bone just in here. So this is the funny bone. So have a good feel for that. So it's on the medial side here. You just want to press until you feel that pointy bone. And then what you want to do is put your middle finger just on the height of it. We also then want to do, or find, the tendon of the bicep. So you have the bicep muscle here, and it comes down into a tendon, and it feeds into the joint here. So this is where you get your patient to tense again. Tense the arm, good. So feel the bicep, feel the bicep. You come down here, and you put your finger right on the height of the bicep. Always helps actually for the middle finger here. And then they can relax. So this point is approximately halfway between the height of the medial epicondyle, so the height of that bone here, and the height of this tendon here. So you kind of eyeball it to begin with. So we're just there. And then what you do is you get your index finger next to your middle finger and you roll over on the crease. So you can see I put a line in here already on the crease to show me where the crease is. You roll over and you feel for the men. Okay, we do the same on this side here. So you're going to roll over and feel. And it's a whopping dip there. So anterior to the medial epicondyle, halfway between that and the tendon of the bicep. So another way to find this point here is you get your fingers just like this, group them together. You feel for the bulge of the bicep. So you want to push the bicep up. So now my index fingers are between the bone and the muscle. From here, I want to drag my fingers down. So I'm keeping my index finger between the bone and the muscle. I drag all the way down and it will take you to the point. So you group, bulge. So your index finger is between the bone and the muscle, and you keep it there, and you drag them down, and you will fall into the dip. So that's 1, 3. So now we're going to skip ahead. So that's 1, 3. We're going to go to 1, 7. All right, so 1, 7 is at the flexure of the wrist, or the wrist crease. So this area down here. And it's just on the inside of the pisiform. So what we do here is have a good feel of the joints, both sides. Let me show you on the skeleton here. So this is the pisiform. So before we find the point, just have a good feel around. You feel the bone on this side here, and have a good feel of the pisiform here. What we're aiming to do now is roll over the pisiform, and you will fall this side of the pisiform into the point. So with the patient, so with your index finger, you can palpate. So this here is the pisiform bone. I'm going to draw it in. We just redraw the point here. So this is the pisiform bone. So we need to be this side of it. So over here, is the tendon. So this is the flexor carpi ulnaris. So comes in here, it comes in here, all the way down, and it feeds into the pisiform bone. So this point is right in the corner, right here. So a common mistake for this one is to accidentally put it on top of the tendon itself, or this side of it. You've got to make sure that the points for the heart channel are looking right up at you, or looking to the ceiling. Nothing kind of falling off the edge as such. So one last check here. You feel a pisiform. Feel the tendon coming down into the pisiform. And the point is going to be just on the inside, right in the corner of both of those. Another mistake here is to put it too high, literally on the wrist flexure. So I think it's beneath it. Okay, so now we're going to move on and look at the ACI measurement here. So this is where the phone numbers come in. So 17 now becomes our 0, and our 12 goes on 13. So now remember, the inside of the arm is 12 ACI, and we're going from point to point. So 0 ACI is on 17. 12 ACI goes on 13. That's why it's really important to get these spot on, because when the measurements go in, they've got to be spot on to find the actual point. So the phone number for the heart is 0, half, 1, 1.5, and 12. Okay, that's 0, half, 1, 1.5, and 12. So we're going to whack these in. 0 is already there. That's my half. That's my 1, 1.5, and 12 you've already done. Okay, so for these points, so we're now looking for 1-4. So 1-4 is 1.5 ACI proximal to 1-7. Yep, so it's 1.5, that's the ACI measurement, close to 1-7. Show you quickly again. So 1.5 ACI proximal to 1-7. So for this, again, it's all about the tendon here, the flexor carpi ulnaris. We've got to make sure that this point and the next few are on this side, on top of the arm for this. So this is where you want to feel the tendon. So you can come down, you can come down. Actually, what I'm feeling for here now is the valleyway. That's the space between the actual tendons. So we're going down, we're going down, we're going down. And now here. So where my finger is now, I'm on this side of the tendon in a sort of soft valleyway where the channel flows. So we simply go to our 1.5 ACI and come down this way too. And you're feeling for the men. Another check, index finger, this side of the arm, roll over the tendon and fall in. This is a good one because you really do feel the tendon. You come off the tendon and you just drop right into the point here. Good. So we basically do the same again for the next points. We've done our 1-3, 1-4, so 1-5. 1-5 is 1 ACI, proximal to 1-7. Exactly the same. So you're here, feel for the valleyway. That's the space between the tendons. You whacked in your 1 ACI, come this side, you come up, you go over, and you fall into the valley. Once there, you can drag down and you fall into the men. Okay, so next, 1-6, same again. So 1-6 now is only half ACI, proximal to 1-7. So we're getting closer to the wrist. Feel the bone, feel the tendon. You go over the tendon and you fall into the point. So just here. So with the ACI measurements, just also be careful when you do this. So where you put your ACI measurements, just make sure that that's not where you put the points as such. Don't just assume that the ACI measurement will just take you straight to the point. ACI gives you the ballpark area as such. Obviously, it gives you the correct anatomical inch. But then you really got to feel for the anatomy and be off the anatomy to make sure you are where you should be. All right, good. So moving on. So we've done 1-7. So now we're on the palmar surface of the hand. So we're looking at 1-8. Yep, so 1-8 is between the 4th and the 5th metacarpals. And what it actually does, so that we're coming from here, so the channel goes over the rest of the carpal bones and is between the 4th and 5th. But it actually has more of a relationship with the 5th metacarpal here. Yep, so it's slightly closer to that. And where we're going for is right into the flare, just here. And it's the flare of this metacarpal. Right in there. So this essentially is the knuckle. Yeah. We have a knuckle here. It's the anterior side of it. And the knuckle is created by the metacarpal itself. So the bone is a long bone here, and it starts to bulge out. So we need to be right into the flare of the head of the 5th metacarpal. So to find this, we've really got to palpate. Yeah? Feel for the bones on each side. Feel the knuckles on both sides. And you're going to get a sense of where the flare begins. So put your finger in the space. So you can't really go any further. Coming this way too. If you get your fingers, again, feel the knuckles, both sides. You can push them up one at a time. You get a sense of where the space is. Push them up together. Place your finger as well underneath, between the two knuckles. So you're on the flesh just here. And you push up so you can see what is flesh. So a good way of doing this now is keeping that finger here, so you're pushing up with the flesh. Your other index is coming down, and you're feeling for that flare. So as a guide, it's on the heart line, this transverse crease just here. But don't just assume don't just whack it in on that line. So again, that gives you the ballpark area, but you really want to feel for the anatomy underneath. So one last check just on the skeleton. So what I was doing, I was pushing with my index finger between that space. Yeah, I'm pushing here. Then my other finger was coming down this space. And it just enabled me to really kind of feel that flare. Good. Okay. Last point. So 1, 9. So 1, 9 is on the radial side of the nail point on the little finger. So if you can see here, the channel is coming down over the palmar surface of the hand, and it continues straight. So a common mistake here is to accidentally put it on the ulnar side. So you want to make sure you stay on the radial side. So what we do, turn the hand over. Let's bring those fingers down. So you can see the channel coming up here on the inside. So now this is the radial side because we're on the side of the thumb. So nail points. Again, it's all about the flare. I'll show you here. So the nail point for the heart channel is radial nail side of the little finger, and it's just on the flare. So you're gonna feel for the distal phalanx. So the last sort of finger knuckle here. You're going to get your finger and drag your finger past the nail into the corner. Okay, so you take the little finger up like this. You can see the point there. Take your finger and you drag until you can't go any further. So normally I'd be doing it like this, but for the sake of the camera, obviously, I'm pulling the finger as much as I can this way to show you all. So the moment you stop is the point. Okay, good. So that's the heart channel all done. So things to pick up from that are, well, the main things, really make sure you get 1-7 correct. So really, feel for that pisiform bone, because if this is incorrect, all of these are going to be off as well. Also then on the palmar surface of the hand, again, knuckles and flares, yeah, be into the flare. And especially for the nail point too, and for all nail points that you will end up doing as well, into the flares. Okay, good. Thank you.